Formula One has never just been about screeching tires and champagne showers on the podium. Nope, it's also about pure cinema. Let's rank 8 of the greatest F1 movies of all time. At number 8, we've got Life on the Limit from 2013. If you thought modern F1 was dangerous, this doc will slap you with a history lesson in pain. It's narrated by Michael Fassbender, which means yes, it sounds classy, but don't get too comfortable. It digs into the absolutely brutal era of F1. You know, the one where safety was optional and dying behind the wheel was just part of the job description. Drivers like Jim Clark and Gilles Villeneuve didn't just race, they risked everything. It also highlights how legends like Niki Lauda and Jackie Stewart didn't just win races, they started pushing back against the madness. Rotten Tomatoes gave it a decent 80%. Not bad for a documentary that most people don't even know exists. And let's not forget, it's loaded with rare footage. We're talking Schumacher, Senna, Prost, and Bernie Ecclestone before he became meme material. Then there's number 7, Weekend of a Champion. Ah yes, Roman Polanski decided to follow Jackie Stewart around for the 1971 Monaco Grand Prix weekend. Sounds chill, right? It's not. What you get is a camera up in Stewart's face, in his hotel, on the grid, mid-paranoia, mid-race prep, mid-existential crisis. It's the kind of intimate, behind-the-scenes stuff that fans now beg for on YouTube, except it was done in the 70s, with film reels and everything. It barely got any love back then, probably because everyone was too busy chain-smoking and ignoring documentaries. But the 2013 remastered version brought it to Cannes. Now it's viewed as a cinematic goldmine for fans who want to know what it's like to actually be a champion, not just pretend one in a go-kart. Hey, before we dive deeper into these incredible racing films, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I'm dropping new F1 content every week, from legendary races to driver deep dives, and you definitely don't want to miss it. Plus, leave a comment below with your favorite F1 movie. I'm curious if it made our list. Coming in hot at number 6 is Grand Prix from way back in 1966. Don't roll your eyes. This one is serious business. Directed by John Frankenheimer, this movie was doing epic race shots before GoPros were even a thing. It bagged 3 Academy Awards. Yes, Oscars for editing, sound, and effects. In 1966, let that sink in. And here's the wild part. They filmed with actual drivers like Phil Hill and Graham Hill on real F1 circuits. Imagine today's directors trying to convince FIA to let them do that. Good luck. With a runtime of 176 minutes, yeah, it's long, but it invented cinematic techniques that people still rip off in racing scenes today. The split screen shots, the slow-mo crashes, thank Grand Prix. It even ended up being MGM's top grossing movie that year. That's how much people wanted racing content, even if it meant watching for 3 hours straight with a numb butt. Alright, let's shift gears to number 5, the documentary Williams from 2017. This one hits different. It tells the story of Sir Frank Williams, and it does not hold back. It dives into how he built the Williams F1 team from the ground up, only to suffer a life-changing accident in 1986 that left him quadriplegic. And then he kept running the team, kept winning, kept making people cry out of sheer disbelief. You'll see how drivers like Nigel Mansell, Damon Hill, and Jacques Villeneuve shaped the team's legacy. But it's really about grit, genius, and staying in the game when your body says no. It has a 90% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, because apparently people do want emotional depth in between pit stops. It also features never-seen-before home videos, letters, and team secrets that give you a way deeper look than just lap times. Now, at number 4, we have Le Mans from 1971. Technically not F1, I get it, but try telling that to racing fans who treat this movie like gospel. Steve McQueen, the king of cool himself, basically said, "Screw dialogue and let engines do the talking." And honestly, it worked. The film used real footage from the 1970 24 Hours of Le Mans, with real cars doing real things on a real circuit. That alone makes it one of the most authentic racing films ever made. The budget was $7.6 million at the time, which is about $53 million now. But get this, it bombed at the box office. Yup, a full-on flop. But fast forward 50 years, and now it's a cult classic. Funny how time turns trash into treasure, huh? At number 3, it's Senna. And let's just say, if you don't cry at least once while watching this, you might actually be a robot. Directed by Asif Kapadia, this documentary isn't just about driving. It's about obsession, pressure, politics, and a man who was basically worshipped like a god in Brazil. Ayrton Senna wasn't just fast. He was untouchable on the track and absolutely chaotic off it. The film uses never-before-seen FIA archive footage, which means you're not getting the usual glossy promo material. You're getting raw cockpit cams, pit lane arguments, and enough shady politics to make House of Cards look like a kindergarten play. You get a front row seat to all the drama, the politics with Alain Prost, the power struggles with Jean-Marie Balestre, and the kind of ego clashes that make you question how anyone made it out of the 90s alive. And then comes the crash. 1994, San Marino Grand Prix, Tamburello Corner, Senna crashes. The world stops. The man who was basically seen as immortal, who drove like he had divine reflexes, dies on live TV. F1 wasn't just shaken, it was shattered. His death triggered a wave of safety reforms because apparently it takes someone dying to get the FIA to do something useful. Helmets got better, cars got safer, and suddenly people were like, oh right, maybe driving a carbon fiber rocket at 300 kilometers per hour should come with precautions. Senna ended up winning a BAFTA for Best Documentary because duh. Rotten Tomatoes gave it a 93% score, and honestly, I'm not sure what the other 7% of critics were watching. Maybe they thought it didn't have enough explosions. And box office? $10.6 million globally, which for a documentary is a solid flex. Then came Netflix, and like every other great movie that didn't get enough love in theaters, it became a cult classic. You either cried watching it or immediately wanted to become a racing driver. There is no in between. Now let's slam into number 2, Rush. This one's less documentary, more dramatized speed demon, and yes, it absolutely delivers. Directed by Ron Howard, aka the guy who can make anything feel like a big deal. Rush tells the story of the 1976 rivalry between James Hunt and Niki Lauda. And when I say rivalry, I don't mean they didn't get along. I mean these guys would rather set fire to each other's cars than have lunch together. Chris Hemsworth plays James Hunt, the British party animal, women-charming playboy who probably didn't know what a salad was. And Daniel Bruhl steps into the fireproof suit of Niki Lauda, the methodical Austrian insult-hurling genius who looked like he came out of the womb asking for wind tunnel data. Bruhl didn't just do a good job, he got nominated for a Golden Globe. That's right, an F1 movie got award buzz. What world are we living in? Now let's talk about the crash. Nürburgring, Nitten City-Sex, Lauda Crashia, Fireball, third-degree burns, dude nearly dies. And what does he do? Comes back 6 weeks later, to race again, still bleeding through his bandages. Hunt goes on to win the championship by just 1 point. That's not a rivalry, that's psychological warfare with helmets and turbochargers. Box office, it hit $98 million. Rotten Tomatoes gave it 89%, which is almost too low considering how real it felt. Even actual F1 drivers loved it. Lewis Hamilton literally said, it's the most realistic racing film made. When Lewis says it's real, you don't question it. And that brings us to the final boss. Number 1, the future, the heavyweight, the please take all my money moment. F1, the film released in 2025. And oh man, if you thought the rest were big, wait till you hear what this one's pulling off. So, this film is being led by Brad Pitt. Yes, that Brad Pitt, the man who's aged slower than a race under red flag conditions. He plays a veteran driver making a comeback, of course, coaching a rookie on a fictional team called APXGP. Now here's the kicker. The movie is being directed by Joseph Kosinski, the guy who made Top Gun, Maverick. So yes, expect cockpit shots that make you feel like you're doing 320 kilometers per hour straight into your living room. But the real cherry, Lewis Hamilton is co-producing. And that means 2 things. 1, the racing scenes will actually be realistic for once, and 2, the paddock passes are probably ridiculous. They're filming during actual Grand Prix, Silverstone, Hungary, Spa. So if you saw a random car that looked like it belonged to nobody this season, that was Brad Pitt, casually driving during a real F1 weekend like it's just another Sunday drive. The budget? Oh, just a little over $140 million. No big deal. Apple TV Plus reportedly shelled out $200 million just for the distribution rights. You heard that right. $200 million just to let people stream it. At this point, it's not a movie. It's a GDP. And it's not some low-effort vanity project. They've got FIA's blessing. Real engineers, real teams, real circuits. This isn't a green screen fantasy. It's Brad Pitt actually putting on a fireproof suit and pretending he knows what oversteer is. It's basically the Fast and the Furious, but someone actually read the F1 rulebook. And if you're still here after all that cinematic horsepower, you're clearly as obsessed with F1 as I am. Hit that subscribe button and that notification bell right now. Drop a comment with which film you're watching first, and I'll see you in the next video where we'll be breaking down the most iconic F1 crashes ever captured on film.